Let's talk about something really important today. There's been a huge shift in business, and the old way of doing marketing, well, it's just not cutting it anymore. We're going to break down why the smartest brands are basically turning themselves into media companies, what that actually means, and why it might be the most crucial thing you do for your company's future. So let's just start with a question I'm willing to bet a lot of you are asking yourselves. Why does it feel like our marketing is just shouting into the void? You're pouring all this money into campaigns, but you're barely getting a whisper back. The thing is, it's not you. It's not just your company. The entire game of getting a customer's attention has completely changed. And this right here, this is the new reality. Your biggest competitor isn't the other company that sells what you sell. Nope. You are literally fighting for screen time against Netflix, against TikTok, against every single creator on YouTube. In this new battle for eyeballs, just interrupting people with ads is a one-way ticket to being ignored. It's a losing strategy. So how do you win? How do you actually get heard? Well, it takes a whole new way of thinking. You have to shift from being a brand that just rents attention for a little while with ads to becoming a publisher that actually owns the attention of a loyal audience. So what exactly is this media company mindset? At its core, it's a mission. It's a strategic decision to create and share content that's so valuable, whether it's fun, educational, or just plain inspiring, that people actually go looking for it. You stop paying for these fleeting moments of attention, and you start earning a real, long-term audience that knows you and trusts you. Okay, this visual just perfectly lays out the two different worlds. The old way, being an advertiser, is just a temporary expense. The second you stop paying for those ads, boom, the attention is gone. You're just renting space, and you're totally at the mercy of some algorithm change. But the new way, being a publisher, that attracts an audience. Every single piece of content you make becomes a compounding asset, building this firewall of trust that you own. No algorithm can take that away from you. Okay, so that's the big idea. It sounds good in theory, right? But don't just take my word for it. Let's dig into the data, because the numbers prove this shift isn't just coming, it's already here and it is moving fast. First, just look at where all the money is going. Over half, 51.9%, of all global ad spending is gobbled up by just 5 companies. Think about that. If you rely only on them, you are building your entire business on rented land. You have these 5 powerful landlords who can change the rules, hike up the rent, or even evict you whenever they feel like it. And a massive chunk of that money, a staggering $190 billion in 2024, is pouring into video ads. That number tells you everything you need to know about where people's attention is. So to really grab it, you can't just rent a 30-second ad spot anymore. You have to be the channel they actually want to watch. You have to become your own production studio. And listen, this is not just some Western trend. Just look at the explosion happening in South Asia. You've got over 370 million Facebook users in India, over 67 million in Bangladesh. The digital ad markets in these areas are absolutely surging, which means the competition for paid attention is about to get incredibly intense and way more expensive. The time to build your own audience, to build that firewall of trust before the market gets totally saturated, is right now. All right, so you get it. We've talked about the why, and the data is pretty clear. But the big question is, how do you actually do it? So let's get into the playbook. We're going to look at some real-world examples and a clear framework you can use. And of course, you have to start with the absolute masters of this, Red Bull Media House. Seriously, think about it. Their content is almost never about the energy drink. It's about adventure, it's about pushing the limits of what's humanly possible. And the result? They are a full-blown global media company. And get this, over a quarter of their entire revenue comes from things that aren't the drink. That YouTube channel with over 11 million subscribers, that's not just a marketing channel. That is a powerful, owned media asset. But you don't have to be Red Bull to pull this off. Check out what Dove Hair Care did in India. They decided, you know what? We're going to become the #1 authority on hair care for Indian consumers, period. By creating genuinely useful, non-salesy content, they saw a 54% jump in organic traffic. But the real proof is the bounce rate, less than 30%. That tells you people weren't just clicking and leaving. They were staying, they were reading, they were getting real value. That right there is true engagement. So how can you start building this for yourself? Here's a 5-step roadmap to get you going. First, define your niche. What's the one thing you can be the best in the world at explaining? Second, build your own ecosystem. Your website and your newsletter are your home base. Now, step 3 is probably the most critical mind shift. You have to move budget away from buying ads and start hiring talented storytellers. Then you change how you measure success. You track audience growth. And finally, you make this content-first thinking part of your company's DNA. So we've gone through the why, the what's, and the how. Now it really just comes down to you. This is not a trend you can just sit back and wait on. So let's talk about the specific moves you need to be making right now, depending on where you sit in your organization. Because honestly, the risks of getting this wrong, or worse, doing nothing at all, they're huge. If your content is really just a glorified sales pitch, people will tune you out immediately. If you misuse the data of the audience you build, you'll lose all their trust. And if you're not consistent, if you're not reliable, your audience will just go somewhere else. The bar for being a credible publisher is high, and for good reason. Okay, for everyone in the C-suite, the mandate here is crystal clear. You need to carve out a real chunk of your ad budget, let's say 20% to start, and invest it in building a true content asset. And that means you have to change how you measure success. Forget about short-term things like cost per click. Your new North Star metric is your owned audience growth rate. That is the new health indicator for your brand. Now, for you managers, your move is all about tactics. It's time to stop the random acts of content. You need to get serious and put a formal, rolling editorial calendar in place, just like a real newsroom. Then, you dive deep into your analytics and use the 80-20 rule. Find that 20% of content that's driving 80% of your results, and then just double down on what's already working. And hey, if you're just starting out in your career, what an incredible opportunity this is for you. The skills of a modern media company, things like SEO, video editing, data visualization, these are your golden tickets. Master them. And you can start right now by treating your own LinkedIn profile like it's your personal media brand. Show people you get it. So let's wrap it all up with this one key idea. The future of building a successful, resilient brand is publishing. The tools are there. They're accessible to everyone. You now have the power to build a direct relationship with your audience, to own your company's future. The only real question left is, when are you going to launch your newsroom?